Hello, everyone, and welcome to the MMMS, the Mary Mater Marvel Society. That sound you heard, that thwip was not a web shooting from a web shooter. It was an unfathomable amount of rope shooting out of a billy club. So, because we are here to review, Daredevil Born Again on Disney Plus. Yeah. You could say Daredevil season 4. I think they pretty much owned that. At first, they were a little coy on how much they were going to carry on from Netflix, but I mean, they went all in with it, I think we can fairly say. I am your, your master of ceremonies on this one, Daredevil. And with me is the token mater down at the bottom there, because we got to have one.
Yeah.
My cousin Dave.
I'm the token mater. Glad to be here. Talk some Mary Mater Marvel Society and some Daredevil Born Again. Let's talk about it.
Bringing that mater flavor. And with us as well, the not the third wheel, perhaps the first, Jaemeel Robinson.
Thank you very much. Channeling my Stiltman energy as much as I possibly can.
Oh man, Stiltman is a legend.
Yep.
Is Stiltman the guy, like the bad guy in this?
You want to see my Stiltman hero click over there? You can keep stacking on legs and making them taller and taller.
What was that guy's name? That character, the one that, or well, I guess it's Stiltman, but his real name, I guess, whatever his last name is, they keep referring to him as throughout the show.
Stiltman in this?
Is he not in the show, or who am I?
No. In Melvin Potter's lab in like one of the previous seasons, you see the Stiltman armor.
Yeah.
But that's...
Is it Bullseye? Is that who comes back at the end here?
Yes, that's Bullseye. Okay, Stiltman, isn't it? Bullseye.
Very different.
Bullseye and Stiltman, they're both villains, right? They're both part of the rogues gallery of Daredevil.
So, yeah. Stiltman's definitely a Daredevil.
But if I confused like the Joker and Catwoman, I guess it would also not be great. So
no, not great. So the reason I thought it was appropriate for myself to be the master of ceremonies here tonight is because if it were not for Daredevil, I think it's not too much hyperbole to say we would not be sitting here right now. At least I would not be, because as much as I may be known as an X-Men fan and a Storm stan these days, Daredevil is perhaps even the character in all of literature that means the most to me. My very first comic book was this comic right here. Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, number 27, The Blind Leading the Blind. This is what was my introduction to comics, not to Spider-Man because there were cartoons and stuff like that, but basically anything. Certainly my introduction to Daredevil. And it's a fantastic issue. Spider-Man's blind, so Daredevil's trying to help him, but Spider-Man's spider sense keeps popping off. So it's like he just keeps wild swinging at shit, and every now and then he catches Daredevil, and Daredevil's just like, well, he almost killed me with that one. Like, I'm a bit out of my league here. I got to not get too close to this, like, freaking out Spider-Man. But it's just like, it was also my first introduction to a character, which was like also echoes one of the things that Frank Miller really loved about the character, which is like a superhero that has an obvious flaw, and not just a flaw for a superhero, but but a handicap for a human as well. Like, it's just like being blind is a problem if you're just a regular human, but for a superhero to still, like, I was just fascinated by the character. So I was like 5 years old at this time, and we would just play superheroes. Like, we would just run around and pretend to be different superheroes and try to embody their powers. And like, you'd be like, I did this, and it's like, haha, but because of my powers, I was able to do this. Like, that's how we played as kids. And I would always pick Daredevil because I just thought his power set was so awesome, and he was just such an awesome character. And yeah, so what got me hooked on Marvel and comics and why we're here, for me anyway, it's Daredevil, man.
So you're a big fan of the character, and I like Daredevil.
Mm-hmm.
He's good. I remember when I saw him in, I guess, the Spider-Man cartoon in the 90s. And he was like, there was that whole storyline in that show where Peter Parker goes on trial. Matt Murdock is his lawyer in that. And they, because Kingpin is also a big part of that Spider-Man cartoon.
Huge. He's like the main villain throughout the thing.
Yeah. And the Kingpin being like an interesting character who he is a Spider-Man villain, but he's also very much a Daredevil villain. If not,
he's a New York villain. So any superhero who's in New York is the Kingpin.
Right. But now, especially with these two shows that have come out and how, like, I think that these characters are going to be looked at moving forward because of their live action depictions, I think that, Kingpin is going to be kind of cemented as the Daredevil arch enemy.
Well, he is anyway. I mean, some could say it's Bullseye because he killed Elektra in
spoilers.
this issue right here.
We lost our master of ceremonies, Jaemeel.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm back. So, I can't find the issue, but
Some say that Bullseye is his
marriage nemesis, but he says it's like this visceral thing. But like after Bullseye kills Elektra, a far more interesting issue is the next issue, which is where he just, because Kingpin is his arch nemesis, as you say, he doesn't even try to take revenge on Bullseye. He just starts beating the crap out of Kingpin underlings to track down Kingpin. Eventually just walks into Kingpin's office and it's just like, you killed Elektra, and he's just like, no, I didn't. And then he just falls on his knees and starts crying. Like, like that's like, they have this connection that's like, if they see each other, they don't necessarily have to try to kill each other like Daredevil and Bullseye do. Like, there's lots of things going on between Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk. And it's pretty fascinating a lot of the time.
And I do like this. I do enjoy the character of Daredevil. Although when those original Netflix series came out like 10 years ago, 8 years ago, whatever, and then eventually into Defenders, every time I put one of those shows on, I never could keep really going, like Jessica Jones or the Iron Fist. I would be excited for it, and then I watch like 2 episodes. I go, I don't really care. And the Daredevil was probably the best of those shows, but even in the case of Daredevil, I wasn't a huge fan of the original show. This show, I think, a much better show than those were, especially the original Daredevil iteration. Is my take.
I think I figured it out, Jaemeel. I think I figured out the relationship between our beloved Dave here and Marvel. I think I got it.
What is it?
Okay.
Allow me to have a sip from my beverage.
Keep us in suspense there.
Mm-hmm.
He's cracked the code.
You, sir, are not a fan of street level superhero comics. You see 4 Captain America movies and you like Civil War because it's got a bunch of big flashy superheroes in it, and because these Netflix shows, in my opinion, and perhaps Jaemeel echoes, were pretty glorious. I mean, people will nitpick with Iron Fist and stuff like that, but man, I loved Luke Cage, I loved Jessica Jones, I loved Daredevil. I kind of actually phased out on season 3 of Daredevil. I didn't find it the strongest, even though Bullseye was there and stuff. I think I need to go back and watch it. But I do agree with you. I think Born Again is better than Daredevil's seasons 1 to 3. For, I think, a lot of the reasons that support my point about you not liking street level stuff. It's bigger. It's got like more superheroes in it. I love that about it as well. I like that we have a Daredevil show where they can just have the swordsman sitting in a cage or like rolling up on Wilson Fisk at a party. Like, there's other characters in the Marvel universe that get to interact with this character. Like, the Netflix things were so like insulated. You know?
Very insulated. I guess they didn't feel as connected. Was my other kind of thing. Also, with those shows, they would kind of sort of reference MCU, but at the time there was like things with the rights and how did they want them to be a separate universe? Didn't they? They couldn't really make up their mind, and there was a lot of.
They mentioned the incident once, which is
the incident, which was supposed to be Avengers 1 and the Battle of New York and all that, and now it's very much integrated with the main continuity, which is good, and I do enjoy that more. But it's not just that. I for some reason, I just finding the show. I was like, oh, that was a good episode. I love that ending. I love that.
Did you like Punisher?
Punisher, yeah. I guess I hadn't watched.
Show?
I hadn't seen the season 3, or I haven't seen his show at all. Right, so he's only in.
Oh, you haven't seen Punisher show?
No. So I was like, he's only really in one he has one scene in that one thing where Daredevil goes to see him in the show, and then he's really in the last episode quite a bit. And he was good. Like, he's an interesting character. I think that the guy who plays him, what's his name?
John Bernthal.
John Bernthal. Yeah, he's great in the character. And
I think you'd like that Punisher show.
Maybe I would.
I think you might. I did not like it.
No,
I don't know. I was never that drawn because Punisher was never my like in terms of a comic character one I really admired too much.
Oh,
but,
me neither. You're not supposed to.
Yeah, he's
He's
kind
a
of a
monster.
psycho.
He's
Yeah.
a monster. Yeah.
Right, and they kind of don't totally shy away from that in this show either.
In the
But
Civil War comic, it's hilarious. He like walks into the room carrying like an unconscious Spider-Man, and they're all just like grossed out. They're like, "Why is Frank Castle here? Like, can he just leave? Like, we don't even want
right,
him."
because he kills people even when he doesn't have to. He just does it. Right,
It's just his philosophy. He's just like, it's just easier this way.
Yeah,
I get it, I guess, but
like,
it's kind of like it's villainous. So
but what's great about him Born Again is he totally goes after all the people that were mimicking Punisher in real life that are like pieces of shit, like all these like brutal, like over abusive cops that were wearing Punisher logos and stuff. They directly confront that. I like that Marvel's directly confronting all the twisted fan reactions to these characters. Like She-Hulk did it. That's why it got blasted, because the dickheads realized they were the villain. But like and it's the same thing here. It's just like there's these dickheads that think Punisher's cool for doing what he does, but you're not supposed to. You can read Punisher comic books and not realize you're not supposed to agree with him. Like
yeah, he has I can sympathize with him in some levels, but he's also very troubled, I would say.
Well, it's what he even says that to the cop. The cop's like, "Oh man, we think you're great." He's just like, "You dickhead! I am the most broken, tortured son of a bitch ever.
You think you know my pain,
my loss? Yeah, like you have no fucking idea." Like,
right.
People actually, there was a lot of. Well, I shouldn't say there was a lot. Let me readjust. There were people complaining, as always, as the internet tends to lead to, saying that Disney, they put kid gloves on the Punisher. Punisher didn't come hard enough on the cops, the corrupted cops, and everything. And I'm like, you can't win. There's nuance,
you can't win.
There's no such thing as nuance. Outside of maybe having a cop as a pinata and just having Frank beat him for 30 minutes, I don't know what more they can do when he legit kills how many cops in that same episode, right?
Apartment scene.
The best is just he calls them all clowns. He's like, "You clowns want to team up with me? You clowns!" Like, no,
no.
You guys are just clowns. Like,
and he's not in the show a ton, but I do like his inclusion in the show for sure.
His presence is felt. Absolutely,
his presence is felt. As you guys are fans of the original Daredevil show, they spoilers, of course, we're going to talk all about this show here, and they kill Foggy Nelson in that first episode, kind of in the first scene, really.
But
did they?
Did they not? Okay, full disclosure here as well. I was watching season 1 here. I got to the last 20 minutes of the final episode, so I haven't watched the final 20 minutes. I don't know what quite is if there's something about Foggy in those last 20 minutes.
Dave, seriously, wait.
I'm gonna bring something up for you guys here.
You should. Okay, we had that whole discussion in between episodes. You should have just watched that last 20 minutes.
I was having fun talking to you, Jaemeel. So,
I'm sorry. You know what? I think maybe you should break out the wiki and read up on that last 20 minutes.
Okay,
honestly.
Let me see here.
There's a lot of stuff that happens.
Who Fisk kills Gallo? Fisk declares martial law, outlaws vigilantism, imprisons Duquesne, Castle, and other dissidents in Red Hook. He offers Glenn the position of mental health commissioner, which he accepts.
So, in the scene where they kill Foggy Nelson, if you just look to the right in big neon blue letters, it says 468. And often in Marvel, numbers mean a lot, and they're usually in Marvel productions. They're usually referencing comic books. And in this particular instance,
did you lose him? Yeah, I lost
him.
In this particular instance is where we lost you.
He's being silenced by Marvel. Look at that.
They did. They came at me. So in this particular, where did I leave off? So you see 400. You see the number 468.
Yeah, 468.
Yeah, which is The Secret Life of Foggy Nelson, Daredevil number 468. So, which is him faking his death and like doing a whole other thing. So I think you'll find that Foggy is not in fact dead.
He's faked his death, or what happened to him?
I think so. I think there's something.
But that's just a theory. That there's nothing. It's not something that happens in the last 20 minutes, right? Where they're like, Foggy's actually alive.
No.
Okay. So, speculation for now. Okay, so it sounds like things go bad, and then there's some good cops who want to fight back, and then there's a mid-credit scene that I missed, of course, that is about
basically just Cherry, and that one cop who like had to do the hostage
the St. Patrick's bank cop
with the joke. Her joke was funny.
Yeah, it was. That's funny.
Yeah, the one with the leprechaun being a nun or whatever, or something like that. Yeah, in a mid-credit scene, Castle tricks a prison guard and begins to break free. Okay, so
he snaps. He goes to shake his hand. He just breaks his arm.
Yeah,
takes the keys.
So
okay,
who knows what we're going to see?
And we know we're getting to season 2. It's already been announced, right? So this is happening.
And he says he needs an army, which I assume means Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Danny Rand, Iron Fist.
Yep. Right. And maybe Spider-Man.
Otherwise, it's just Cherry.
No, not Spider-Man.
Cherry.
Spider-Man's street level, right?
He already expects too much of Cherry.
Can we get Spider-Man?
Cherry, go do this. It's like, Jesus,
we're not going to get Spider-Man.
I want Spider-Man.
No,
you're not going to get Spider-Man.
You're going to get Daredevil in the next Spider-Man movie, likely, but he won't be.
Well, we saw them cross over in the last Spider-Man movie, briefly. They had one scene together.
That's true. He'll be in it again.
He's a really good lawyer.
He's a really good lawyer.
That was a great scene.
You know, of course, that was erased by Doctor Strange, so I don't know how much he caught some of it at least. So
no, I think he wasn't defending Spider-Man; he was defending Peter Parker. So he'll remember
being Spider-Man, wasn't he?
Do you guys agree that Matt let Daredevil or Bullseye out of prison? He did it on purpose.
Oh no, I don't think so.
He knew exactly what would happen if he smashed Bullseye's face off that table. He knew it would loosen a tooth. He knew what Bullseye would do with that tooth because he wanted to let Bullseye out.
No, I disagree with that. Because the idea that he would be totally fine with Bullseye killing that many people in his escape,
he thinks Bullseye would go after Fisk.
But you have to escape
but
first.
To kill that many people to be able to get away.
Fair enough.
And I think that Bullseye could have smashed his own face if he wanted to dislodge a tooth. He didn't need Murdoch to do it for him.
But he could have done that the whole time.
Right. So that's why I don't know think it was that premeditated or anything by Murdoch.
Yeah, you're right. He wouldn't want the other people to die.
You know, I think it's connecting.
It's a good theory. It's a good theory, and it's something that you need to think about at the same time.
Because he's kind of losing his shit, old Matt.
Yeah.
And this is the Daredevil born again storyline. Like he's kind of losing his shit.
Right. But in terms of the show, like I a lot of it he spends not being Daredevil because he kind of gives up being Daredevil after a while after Foggy Nelson dies in this first episode.
Karen is so hilariously not like Karen from the comics. It's like there's never been a comic book interpretation so different than Karen Page.
Yeah,
never.
This
is Karen Page. Like this is her on a good day. Karen Page is a complete friggin' disaster.
She's a complete mess
all the time. A mess.
Crying all the time.
No, just like on drugs or like doing porn or like who the hell knows what. She is a mess.
She is a mess.
I'm not super familiar with the character, but her depiction in this show led me to believe she's more confident and
that's the thing. She's so confident in this show. I'm just like, who is this character? Why do they even call her Karen Page?
Well, I don't think they would want Matt to fall in love with someone who is just an utter
broken.
Yeah. I think that
he comes back with AIDS in Born Again. Yeah.
Yeah, she has AIDS.
Yeah.
It's
bad for old Karen.
Dave, just before you start, I think that you were just mentioning before about how initially when the series started, you didn't necessarily get a lot of Matt as Daredevil. It was just Matt as the lawyer or Matt struggling with things. And I know people like the show, but there's this strange thought process you see with a lot of people complaining about what they want in terms of a superhero type of presentation. You heard people complain about Iron Man 3, and one of the complaints was, well, he wasn't Iron Man for vast majority of the film. But that's a misconception, and once again, it rings true here in this movie. Daredevil isn't Matt in the costume. Matt is Daredevil, right? Tony Stark is Iron Man, right?
Yeah.
Right. And these are the stories of that character, not necessarily that character in costume, right? Luke Cage is Luke Cage
All the
right?
time. Yeah.
All the time.
It's not like a
Right?
Batman Bruce Wayne thing.
Yeah.
Some of these, some of them have the dual identity and some of them don't. More so, right?
Well,
some
people,
are more
he tries to not let
intrinsically-
people know he's Daredevil, but there have been times when everyone did know he was Daredevil.
He wore a shirt to indicate that, or Chris's sweater.
Well, and everyone knows who the Punisher is, for instance, and like mostly in the MCU, secret identities are kind of a little more rare. You know, in this
Spider-Man thing.
Spider-Man is now
Swordsman, technically.
Who?
Well, now, yes.
Who else?
The Swordsman.
The Swordsman. Okay, but everyone seems to know about it.
No.
Kingpin knows about it.
Fisk kind of puts.
He
two
knows
and two
about everyone's secret identity. You can't keep it secret from Kingpin, apparently. Spider-Man is now Daredevil, I guess, and who?
What?
Is it?
Who else has a secret identity?
In the
I said,
MCU?
with a mustache like that, you're definitely the Swordsman. That's how Fisk got it.
Who else has secret identity?
Not many.
Miss Marvel has secret
Miss
identity.
Marvel.
Yeah,
Miss Marvel.
Miss
She's
Marvel.
mentioned in this show. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think you're going to start seeing more and more of it. I think you're going to start seeing more and more of secret identities as they clearly
with the Young
define
Avengers and stuff.
Yeah, and plus with Fantastic Four joining the MCU because they are the public face of public face heroes.
Right,
Like-
they're the least secret identity of any superheroes. In some ways.
They're celebrities. They are celebrities.
Yeah.
Yay!
And
Oh, just talking to Dave and Jaemeel about
Hello.
Daredevil.
Oh,
Mhm.
you
that's how it
can't
goes.
hear me.
They can hear you.
We can hear you.
No.
Meow.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
No.
She was like, "You stole my soul. What are you doing?" Yeah, we can hear you. So, where was I? I've lost my train of thought here, Jaemeel.
No, well, in terms
They
of secret
do that.
identities and the cult of like the personalities involved, like Fantastic Four are heroes.
Okay.
Daredevil, Miss Marvel, Spider-Man are individuals with secret identities.
And this was like one of the only MCU things that has quite a bit of that whole secret identity thing, people not knowing, and more of this vigilante kind of debate, which they've done a bit in the MCU, but more of it's public facing. The fact that the Avengers are meant to be this kind of controlled group, and now it's coming off the Captain America review where the president's like, we need the Avengers back, right? But Sam has reservations. He's like, do we want to be sort of a controlled entity that the government can tell us what to do and give us orders, or do we want to be more autonomous and have the ability to intervene when we think it's necessary?
Which is great, even though this is not the Captain America thing, but sets up X Factor too, right? This government controlled body that is controlled and maintained by the government, funded by the government.
Don't forget about Alpha Flight.
Yes.
True. Let's never forget about Alpha Flight.
Let's never
Yeah.
forget Alpha Flight.
It's our Canadian superhero team controlled by the Canadian government, as we would.
Yep. Department K.
Yeah.
We're deploying them from the Superhero Act. And here comes. And now Ursula's here.
Yeah, they just come out of nowhere. They come out of the woodworks around here. Okay.
You have the fun room. You're in the fun room.
Yeah. There's a lot of fun rooms around here.
I thought this cast was really good.
Oh yeah.
Largely, I thought that I didn't realize how much of a Kingpin show this was really going to be, but it really
Pretty
was.
great.
Yeah.
People were complaining online that he wasn't brutal enough and his wife was the new Kingpin. I'm just like, just wait. And then he crushes the guy's head and rips it apart with his bare hands. I'm like, there you go. That's what you wanted, people. You've got it now.
But even then, when he was not technically being cruel, there was this hidden agenda that you didn't believe the sincerity of.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he was
I just wanna
fixing
make New York.
streets.
I just want to
I
clean
just
up
like
the
LaGuardia, and I'm just gonna build the city like LaGuardia.
Did you ever get tired of his depiction?
No,
Like,
No,
of
he's an amazingly good kingpin.
yeah,
It's like it couldn't have been better.
I was sometimes I was on the edge where he was like, you know, depending on how long the scene was with him, and he's just like, "Hello, I've got to bring it together."
I talk like this, and I am very deliberate about what I say.
He's such a character in this show
Oh, yeah.
that you're like, is this a real person? You know,
What a character actor, though. He can come up with some interesting stuff.
take care, Buck.
Yeah. Thanks, Buck.
Thanks, and come on over. And if you ever do anything like this again, it's going to be something. You watch
Great.
Oh, man. Okay, here's a theory for you. The guy played by Tony Soprano's son.
The Rose.
Yeah,
He's
He's
the
the
Rose.
Rose. He's 100%
The Rose.
He's
What's
100%
that?
the Rose.
What's the Rose?
Kingpin's son. He will turn
Kingpin's
out to be Kingpin's son. Vanessa will know about this, and that's why he's there.
Oh, and that's why he worships him and he loves him right from the
Yeah.
beginning.
He may not even know it, but I guarantee you Vanessa knows. And he will turn he probably does. I agree
Seems
with
like
you
something-
because he is a bit of a fanboy, but like he is the Rose. He's 100%.
I couldn't help but think about this whole scene the whole time. Every time I'm watching Kingpin in this show, it was, you know, the fact that, you know, once upon a time he wasn't Kingpin, guys. He was another character.
It was Thor.
In the MCU.
Yes. And when Thor met Stamets.
Thor. Sarah. Oh, Thor, mighty god of thunder.
Who is this kid?
Yeah.
You must be Mr. Dawson, right?
He's Mr. Dawson. Or is he the Kingpin in an earlier form?
What? That was the first Marvel Universe and X-Men crossover.
Exactly. You know, that was Vincent D'Onofrio playing this mechanic, Mr. Dawson, who is mistaken for Thor back in the day. So, yeah, different physique in this movie or the show, and a different look to him completely. Physicality, his performance, his voice, everything. And was the original
That was
Daredevil
a great movie, by the way. Adventures in Babysitting.
Yes.
Classic. I used to watch it all the time.
I love that movie.
Great stuff. Right.
Was the original Daredevil show this Kingpin focused?
Yeah. Pretty much. I would
Because
say.
it's really, they should
I
really
mean,
call this.
no, I guess not because he wasn't the mayor of New York, but like
He was, but he was
basically.
just, he had just
he was
as much
in every
screen
episode
time.
quite a bit. Yeah, I would say
He's a
just,
major
maybe
figure.
a touch less
But he was
because
still a
they had
major
more
figure.
side characters. There was more Foggy, more Karen, more that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But like
Ben Urich.
more Ben Urich.
This show is as much a Kingpin show as a Daredevil show. You could call this show Daredevil and Kingpin Born Again.
Because this is very much, even though they call it Born Again, it's more so the storyline where Kingpin does become mayor of New York. That happened recently, actually, in the comics. And also, they're gonna in season 2, it's gonna become Shadowland. Likely, they're building up to Shadowland.
What's that?
Like his real army. Like we're gonna get Jessica Jones and Luke Cage and all that stuff, but the army is the hand.
Yeah.
So in Shadowland, Daredevil becomes the leader of the hand.
Yes.
And like I think that's what we're doing here.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be the hand versus like all the crooked cops of New York, and it's just going to be amazing.
Cops
But, okay.
versus ninjas.
Yeah, it's going to be cops versus
Kingpin
ninjas.
took over
The thing we
New York
always
City,
wanted, the battle that always had to happen.
how could Kingpin take over New York City like this without like the United States government and military getting involved?
Have you been paying any attention to the United States government? Why do you think they're like some sort of competent thing that like stops stupid shit from happening when really they're just a
This
perpetuator
is New York
of
City
stupid shit?
talking about.
So
like, being
who was
taken
the
over.
mayor of Washington D.C.? Was it straight up crackhead? Right, known crackhead.
But they
Who was
wouldn't have let.
the mayor of Toronto where you guys live? A straight up crackhead. Like, why do you think there's like
they wouldn't let like this intentional blackout happen and like martial law in the city, and like that's not within like the governor of New York would be able to override that. Like,
you know why there's tariffs against Canada right now? Because essentially martial law. He had to declare a state of emergency over the fentanyl crisis to even make those legal without going to Congress. So
I know that
it's exactly that. It's just like, but here's a made up crisis.
He's at a higher level. He's the president of the United States. This is the mayor of New York. It's
but this mayor of New York actually just had an assassination attempt, and he was playing it off as the response to that. It
almost feels like Fisk should be the president almost, because that's the kind of power he's given here. And this is municipal government. It is powerful and it is important, but compared to
states and like things like that do have more autonomy down there than up like here.
And the National State Guard or whatever, or the New York State whatever, they have their own like little paramilitary as well, right? Like their National Guard or whatever.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, American.
They have their own National Guard.
Each governor has kind of a little military force, for certain kinds of crises,
emergencies, yeah.
And but like the mayor of New York does not. But it felt like New York was almost trying to like even separate from New York State in some ways. And New York City was like, we're kind of our own thing. Our own
New York City seems very much its own entity. I mean, and as the mayor of that city, I mean that's your area of influence.
In our world, the governor of New York would still have a ton of power over that position as well. Right? Legally speaking, at least. And a lot of this show is kind of based on laws and the legalities. Hey.
I love it.
Is she saying we built this city on rock and roll?
We built this city. We built this city on rock and roll.
Oh, she's saying I love New York City. She must have heard us say New
York.
York. She thinks Halifax is New York City because we look across the water and we see Halifax. I'm like, look, the city. She's like, it's New York City. I'm like, it's Halifax. She's like, it's my New York City. I'm like, yeah, exactly.
New York City wishes.
Exactly. It's
New York, New York.
Nice place, Nova Scotia.
Like I thought, like watching this show. You know how I talked to you about how like Captain America, Brave New World felt like because show felt much more.
Are you hearing Dave?
Dave, you're cutting in and out. This is so funny.
Yeah, I didn't understand what you were saying there.
I'm cutting in and out.
It's like Dave is like, you know how with how it's talked about Captain America Brave New World is like. Oh yes.
Hi, my name is. Welcome to society.
I was on a whole point. I had a whole good point.
We heard like some of it.
So nice. I want to hear it twice, Dave. Hit me with it.
Am I okay now? Or am I still cutting in and out?
We'll see. Let's give it a whirl.
I had a good point. Oh yeah, I was talking about how Captain America was a little. I was disconnected from that because of how it didn't feel relevant to real life events. It felt like such a different world and so hard to relate to that it was, for me personally, that was a bit of an issue. But this show, like Wilson Fisk and his depiction and how he's running the New York City, it's very Trumpian. It feels very relevant to.
I think intentionally.
Yeah,
intentionally so, yes. But Captain America making a deliberate choice to do quite the opposite of that. And of course, Captain America was made before Trump was elected, so there's kind of a different.
Hence, like the reshoots and stuff. I see the difficulty they had in producing that movie. Like things that just kept happening in the world with Israel and with the U.S. And it's just like, why did we choose now to make this freaking movie? Like, literally any other property would have been easier to produce.
The movie is kind of a victim of when it's coming out, and the more time that goes on, the more like the U.S. is like doing all these other things. That it's a movie called Captain America is kind of like But Daredevil didn't have any of those issues for me, even though it's New York City and it's still the United States. But Fisk is he's so I'm like, I can buy this. This feels very much like our own world, with the way he's running.
Certainly strongmen politicians in North America that have
and he was a particularly like brutal mayor here. It's almost like he's almost like a mayor.
How's your guys' green belt doing? Like there's they get politicians everywhere.
Davan, amazingly enough, you know what? we don't worry about green belts. We got,
No?
we got expensive
No?
spas with 95-year leases that I could never
Oh,
afford to go to
see.
instead. I think that's an awesome trade-off.
The biodiversity of spas.
Yeah, spa
I get it.
with the massive parking lot.
I get it.
Yeah.
Never mind. Take it back.
Right. So I guess in some ways, like it was a little like there's still that part of me that hasn't experienced the last 10 years, and I go, "Oh, now Fisk would never get elected mayor." Oh, yeah, I guess I could imagine this world where he does, and it's an interesting.
I think the BB York character,
BB's cool, man.
which we learn, well, it's been reported that was another part that was kind of added in post the initial filming, right?
They did do a ton of reshoots. They refilmed like the whole show, like the whole series.
So they said like the especially the first episode and the last episodes were very heavily reshot. But like the BB York sequences kind of gives you that different the differing opinions of the New Yorkers there, and some they don't necessarily show that all of them have the exact same needs and wants, right? All of them have varying degrees, and you see how it intersects with what's going on with the show. Some people just want, like, I just want to live my life. I don't want to deal with this, hey, these superheroes are important. Right? You're seeing how it just intersects, and they don't want to make the people be a monolith, which I think is a good thing. We want the New Yorkers to all have their different agendas, and it just so that the cult of personality that is Kingpin kind of just took over in comparison to these same faces, and that's how he was able to win, right, and take over, and that's how he's able to remain in power, as he's putting these ideas out there, and the news and is being manipulated to kind of control the entire populace at the same time as he continues to grasp for more and more power. I thought it was very interesting throughout the course of the series. Yeah. Is the news going to play an important part in the second season? I hope so, because it's the law, it's the news, and it's also like the superhero aspect of it battling at the same time.
Right. It's a challenging thing for these writers, I think, because they have to kind of think, okay, we're shooting the show in this time, but then it's going to come out at this time where we won't know what's happening, but it's either going to resonate more or it won't. I think in a show like this that has a lot of message, and this show is a lot about individuality and choice, and not the monoliths, but like corrupt cops and good cops, and sort of corruption in general, and criminality and crime. And the other thing I really enjoyed about the show, getting back to Kingpin, I guess specifically, is that he becomes mayor in New York, but he doesn't fully use it to his full evil extent until, because he's got this whole thing with his marriage, right? This relationship with his wife, and he's estranged with, and he's going to the counseling, which I think was another smart choice to make like Daredevil's girlfriend the counselor there, and have the connection of the storylines there without.
And then where she ends up is like working for Fisk by the end.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that was interesting to see that as the development, because she turns on Daredevil basically.
There's some characters just go to some dark places in this. And one of the best takes of this show is by friend of the X-Men show, Hanif. I don't know if you're watching this, Hanif, but I'm going to quote you here. Like, he's just like, he just like wants to say how like awful Sheila and Heather are. Heather, his girlfriend, is Sheila, Fisk's, what is she, like the campaign manager or whatever?
Yeah.
What does he say about Sheila? He's like, you are a disgrace to women, to black people, to New Yorkers, and to black women in New York.
Checking a lot of boxes, I think.
She does, though,
she's
too.
Awful. She is awful. She's selling out, what's his name? The cop,
the
guy.
police chief there.
Yeah, sells them out hard, man.
It's not even that she's just a bad person, because you could be
a coward.
Person.
She's a coward.
Absolutely. She's not even a villain.
She knows what's right, and she has the opportunity to do the right thing, right? And it's not even to say that it's necessarily easier, but for political aspirations and everything, she decides otherwise. Not even just to like let things
Her
go.
whole thing is
she
like political
purposely-
formality. Like that's all she cares about.
Right. Which is
She
also very relevant to
purposely-
today and
She
current
purposely
world events.
corners the police chief.
Yeah. Yeah.
She does, and then I don't know. Did she mean to like betray him in this way, or
Oh, 100%
Absolutely.
she did. She
This is
sold him out hard.
premeditated?
She just went right into the next room and is just like, hey, this guy's going to sell you out.
Yeah.
right? So she already made that decision to completely flip. You know,
Yeah.
the-
She wasn't
her
just
luck
recording
She
it
was
just
bullshitting that
cause.
cop the whole time. She was bullshitting him the whole time.
Yeah.
She was wringing her hands, guys. Though, come on, she was struggling.
Like she's the secret villain of this whole series. She is awful.
Well, she's
Like-
not noble. That's for sure. Yeah, just like I guess how the corruption spreads. You know, you see how that progresses through the 9 episodes. By the end, how like Kingpin is completely like solidified, and then he patches things up with his wife, and it's like he can fully because there's that whole thing where his wife kills that one she had the affair with. And then it's like almost like Kingpin's like, now I'm back to evil Kingpin. I can focus on just taking over the world.
They both had secrets that they were both hiding from each other. He's just grabbing more books. And this entire season, we kind of have like both of them basically have their secrets revealed to each other, and they were able. Yeah, Muse. I liked Muse as a villain. Muse is a great villain.
Not bad. Although, okay, I don't understand how he gets away after Daredevil chokes him out in that cave or whatever. But
He was distracted.
he should have tied him up.
He tied him up. So he should like. There's a possibility of what's the name's daughter dying, just to make sure that the villain doesn't get away. I think he was more concerned.
Because it was he should have, because obviously he got up and hurt somebody else. You can't let him. You got to contain him and then get to
So
the daughter.
the ends justify the means.
I'm saying you can walk and chew bubble gum at the same time, and I think there was time for both. He had time to fight him, so he had time to tie him up.
I think he made the right choice, in my opinion.
Can't hear you, Davan, but
Muse is awesome. I had to mute myself there because the baby decided to drum on my djembe. With
Yeah, I heard it was great.
bang, 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 bang. Are you
You're the fun
podcasting
room.
ready? Ah.
You're the fun room.
Yeah.
Go upstairs.
Anyway,
Yeah, Muse is awesome. I was excited that he's even included.
Okay, I think we haven't I think we could just talk glowingly about this show over and over again for like
True.
multiple hours. What didn't you like of this show?
what didn't I?
I'm fine with it.
There has to
Completely.
be something. What's the thing that you least liked about the show?
I think that there were some things with like how they picked up storylines from a previous episode that felt a little like, remember when this and this and this happened, which I get is part of TV, but there were a couple times like that where I would kind of notice it, or they would kind of have to remind us what had happened previously, because this was airing week to week, but I was watching it more straight through, so that's just kind of a symptom of binging, I guess, a show versus going through in the original release. I was kind of waiting for Murdoch to become Daredevil, be born again as Daredevil, and I think it takes like 7 episodes for us to really get back to him being full Daredevil. So
It took 2 seasons in the original Netflix, though. Which I get your point about how that one kind of was.
They lost me. I'm like, when's he
forever.
gonna be Daredevil?
Forever.
And I'm like, and by the time I get there, I'm like, I'm not invested. But
I think I wanted one episode dedicated to him being a lawyer.
well, we get the whole trial.
I was going to say there was a disturbing lack of She-Hulk in this series.
Yeah, what happened with him and She-Hulk? Are they not
They
together
should have
anymore?
been at each other.
Different coast.
again in the
Different
court.
coast.
She's different coast, so she's only his West Coast girlfriend now.
Mhm.
He's a bit
He's
of
a player, Matt Murdock.
Yeah, he's a player.
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
He got the West Coast side piece. You
Yeah.
know.
That's
Yeah,
totally
like-
his MO.
the trial with like White Tiger, that was a lot of the courtroom scenes. There was a guy who wrote for one of these episodes. His name is David Feige, no relation to Kevin Feige.
I don't believe it.
It happens. It was. I think it's the court. It's the whole courtroom scene. I think it's the episode called Six Semper Systema. It's the 4th episode. where he's trying to expose that thing. That's kind of that very end of that episode. They introduced Muse as well.
It's a good episode.
But yeah, and then it goes into the St. Patrick's Day episode afterwards, which was pretty good too. I thought that whole bank robbery thing and the crossover.
The only thing I can say, Jaemeel, to answer your question, because I did think it was great, is if they were going to focus on New York vigilantes in those cages at the end, I would like to have seen maybe some more like Cloak and Dagger and like some more recognizable figures other than just swordsmen and a bunch of nobodies.
Did you know
Mr. Immortal?
Mr. Immortal, was he in one of those cages?
No, I'm just saying, like, just throwing a Mr. Immortal or something.
Just so a bunch of New York vigilantes,
like B-rate superheroes, rather. Like,
yeah, but Cloak and Dagger and Daredevil team up like regular. Like that's a thing.
Because Daredevil's a street level hero.
To be fair, Cloak and Dagger should be able to escape a simple cage.
Sure, Cloak would just. Okay, fair enough.
I don't think they're good candidates.
You
need someone who's not as equipped, I guess.
Yeah.
Spider-Man? No, I guess he's too powerful.
Just something more of that vigilante stuff because it's this big thing. We got to strike back.
One of the LARPers from
city, and they only show White Tiger and Daredevil.
One of the LARPers from Hawkeye.
Yeah, that would have been funny.
That would have been funny.
Right, they had Timothy Dalton from Hawkeye in this too, right?
Yeah, he's
the swordsman character, right? And I kind of forgot about him. I was like, oh yeah,
he's pretty great.
Yeah, he's pretty great.
Yeah, he was it. So in terms of what I didn't like, I was kind of like when I found out this was 9 episodes, I was like, geez, this is a lot of episodes. But
it was originally one long season that they.
It was 18 episodes. Yeah,
I was coming off the fact that it was going to be. Well, they must have felt it was too long, and they shortened.
18's a lot these days.
It is, and I wouldn't necessarily be upset with that because by the end of this show, I know I didn't finish the last 20 minutes yet, but I was really enjoying every episode. Like, I got close.
I don't mind that it was 9 episodes, especially if the idea is this is premium television. We are taking an approach where this is a serious subject matter, and we're taking the episodes very seriously in terms of its presentation and the quality in which we want to ensure that we're putting out there. If they had 18 episodes planned, right, and they're like, we have 2 seasons, the seasons will come out in a time that you can expect. So let's say next year, come February, we are used to the idea that there's going to be another Daredevil season coming up, right? To which they're already, I think, well into filming it, right? Right now, the 2nd season, right? So that means it's probably going to be coming out on time. Let's get used to that idea where we have a production that starts and end with a reasonable amount of time. We're giving shows 2 seasons. We're planning out 2 seasons accordingly. Even if they have to rearrange things, at least they have what they have planned already set forth, as opposed to whatever the mishmash, whatever led to Secret Invasion can't happen again. You can't. As a brand, you can't.
You can't allow that to happen.
Can we wrap this up, fellas? I gotta go make supper.
Yeah,
for these little turds that keep jumping onto the camera here.
Yeah, all good. The only other thing I would mention is that I didn't mind that it was 9 episodes at the because I was always into it. I think the fact that Echo kind of was also had a lot of Kingpin in it, but this was
she
better.
could show up in season 2 too. Yeah.
I don't need her. She wherever she's doing in the roller skates and stuff, she can do that.
I like
I don't care if I ever see Echo again. So they fewer characters. I was into this show.
One would assume a character named Echo that you will encounter yet again.
Well, that's true. But yeah, I was legitimately into it, and I loved how it was like it didn't hold back on the violence either. I felt like it was really like kind of that R-rated vibe. Because there's that one shot where like Kingpin's wife shoots the guy in the head, like in the cell, and you're like, whoa. Like this show's holding back on this guy.
In the St. Patrick episode where he just basically just wrecks the guy's legs.
I gotta go, fellas.
So, Davan, what's your rating for this episode?
Oh, yeah, we need your rating. 10?
Oh, yeah.
No, Davan, come on.
Yeah, he's going.
Wait,
he's
11?
He wants 11.
No, it's a 10. It's a 10.
Jaemeel, is it a 10?
All right, I'm out of here. I gotta go,
Not
fellas.
a 10. Yep. Davan, always a pleasure. I'm going to give it. I would say 9.5.
9.5. Okay, that's pretty strong. Did I like it that much? I don't think it's a 9.5 for me. I'm not even sure if it's a 9.
So you liked Agatha better than this?
Did I? I think I did.
Well,
I think I did like. I think I did like Agatha better than this. Although
I just want to put it in context for you. That's all.
I gave Agatha a 9. I give this an 8. I go this strong, and I'm into it. I'd watch it again. I liked it. I could even go 8.5. I'm gonna go 8.5. It's just a little topper because I think a show is harder to do sometimes than movies. So they did a good job with it. So I'm excited to see compared to like especially the old Daredevil show, which I wasn't as much of a fan of at all. Zero. I felt like I liked that, like a couple of the scenes that you would show where he was fighting in the hallways and this stuff, but never totally got into the character until now. So I'm glad I did. In terms of his live action version. All right. Well, I think that's it for this review. We've lost Davan. He's off to continue his Mr. Mom activities.
The devil's work or the Davin's work is never done.
Work is never over. Make sure you check out our other channels like Live Long and Podcast.
For All Mankind on Monday. I think it's going to be a great episode. Everyone should check out.
Happy birthday to Jason R. Phillips. Hopefully, soon to be the 4th member officially of the MMS.
Is he super kicked into the 40s now, or is he?
Yeah, he's in his 40s now, so it's a whole new ball game there for Jason. So look out. And we'll be back on Wednesday for our next edition of Survivor. We're talking about it's called My Enemies Are Plotting, Jaemeel. So that's what, and I think that's maybe coming.
And then Thursday for Live Long and Podcast or Star Trek review.
Yeah, we got Becky on Thursday for the her first like Star Trek The Next Generation episode ever. And it's gonna be the Icarus Factor. So that's fun. And we're gonna have For All Mankind on Mondays. If you don't know about we're reviewing episodes of For All Mankind every Monday. So we're up to episode 4. Check us out on Monday over on Live Long and Podcast. Thanks, Becky. We appreciate you. All right. Well, thanks for everyone here at the Mary Mater Marvel Society and the Super Mater Brothers podcast. We salute you. We hope we'll be back for what's it called?
Amazing Spider-Man and Thunderbolts, right?
Thunderbolts asterisk. I'm still confused about the asterisk. We're going to talk about that.
We'll find out
when we get there. All right, everyone. Have a good one and stay safe out there. Good night.